So we got a one-stop shop builder with public land, factory builds, and big loans. Sounds like a win. But here's what nobody tells you. The PBO projects a 56% drop in housing program spending as older supports expire. That's less immediate help while BCH ramps slowly. I'm laying out the receipts. What gets funded, capital, what gets sidelined, affordability supports, and why a 2.1% bump in completions over 5 years won't rescue today's rent. If you've ever said, "I just need relief this year," this is your map of where the relief went and how to push back. Before we move on, please take a moment to subscribe to the channel and like the video. You're told a shiny new federal builder is rolling in to fix the mess, but the rent relief you actually feel is slipping out the back door. That's the vibe. The press conference is about cranes. Your bank app is about Tuesday. These are not the same thing. Let's break it down. There are 2 buckets. Bucket 1 is the stuff that hits your wallet now. Rent benefits, operating subsidies that keep units affordable, and tenant protection so your building doesn't flip and jack up rents. Bucket 2 is the long game. Capital projects, public land, factory-built units. Bucket 1 is food and rent. Bucket 2 is vitamins and gym memberships. You need both, but only one keeps a roof over your head this month. Now the twist. The PBO says total housing program spending is on track to drop by roughly 56% by 2028 to 2029, even while Build Canada Homes launches. Why? Older programs time out, and Budget 2025 trims what's left. So we're swapping near-term help for future inventory. It's real. It's happening. Let that sink in. If you're on the Canada Housing Benefit getting a few hundred a month, losing that is like your grocery budget evaporating overnight. The rent still lands on the first. Your car just declines sooner. That's not theoretical. That's a fridge with nothing but mustard and stress. The numbers aren't subtle. The PBO project's total spending sliding from about $9.8 billion in 2025 to 2026 to $4.3 billion in 2028 to 2029. The decline lands hardest on the programs that stabilize tenants today. The supports that prevent arrears, keep nonprofits solvent, and stop evictions when utilities spike. Those are the ones getting squeezed. Meanwhile, BCH shows up with new dollars, but it doesn't fill the hole left by expiring supports. And here's where the marketing gets cute. The headline screams big money, about $13 billion if you add cash, loans, and asset development under BCH. Looks massive. But capital dollars don't pay this month's rent. You can't hand your landlord a blueprint and a promise. A crane on a skyline doesn't translate into your rent being $200 lower on Friday. It's like buying a treadmill when you needed a ride to work. Useful long-term doesn't get you there today. This matters most for the programs that triage emergencies. The Rapid Housing Initiative is one of the only pieces geared to producing social housing quickly. The Rental Protection Fund keeps existing rentals from being gutted or converted. When you slash or sunset these, displacement risk spikes. Shelters jam. Nonprofits lose buildings to faster money. You feel it first as renovations, then as a "we're reviewing your lease," and finally as a "you've got 60 days." Meanwhile, the promised bump from BCH is real but modest. Over 5 years, you're looking at something like a 2.1% increase in completions. That won't flip the rent curve on its own. Supply helps, but not that slowly and not at that scale. Especially if the deeply affordable slice is small and the operating dollars to hold rents at 30% of income aren't there. In Quebec, it's 25%, but same story. No operating money, no access for the lowest incomes. So here's the thing. The one-stop shop idea is real. Streamlined land, flexible financing, factory builds, good tools. But the stopgap programs are the ones getting stopped. That's the cliff. It's quiet, it's technical, and it shows up as next month's shortfall. Which brings us to the uncomfortable question you were probably about to ask. If the lifeboats are shrinking, what exactly is BCH delivering? And when? The promise is scale. Public land, factory builds, fast approvals. So why does the PBO still call the impact modest? Because when you zoom in, the machine is big, but the fuel line is thin. You get infrastructure and headlines today, but the units that actually land in people's hands arrive slower and in smaller numbers than the hype suggests. Let's break it down. Build Canada Homes runs a few levers. The public land lever says, take federal or partner-owned parcels, strip out land cost, and push that advantage into lower rents or faster timelines. The financing lever is flexible debt and equity that can move when private lenders get skittish, especially on non-market or mixed-income projects. Then there's the factory-built piece, modular and panelized production to cut time on site, stabilize quality, and scale repeatable designs. The last lever is who they back. Non-market providers, indigenous partners, and mission-driven developers that can hold rent stable rather than chase the last dollar. But here's the catch. The PBO pegs the 5-year output around 26,000 units. That's roughly a 2.1% lift in completions. And only about half of that is deeply affordable. Think around 13,000 units across the whole period. That is a drip in a drought. It helps. It does not move the rent you owe next month. It's like adding a new bus line to a city in gridlock. Great for the corridor it serves, a relief valve for a few neighborhoods, and a solid foundation for future routes. But traffic tomorrow morning? Still rough. You're still late to work if nothing else changes. Now the direct development slice under BCH tells you the pace. Projections land at about 1,605 units per year, or 8,026 across 5 years. And the mix matters. Roughly 60% are market rate, 20% site at median affordable, and 20% hit deeper affordability. That mix can seed mixed income communities and bring in cross subsidies. But it also means the portion that truly serves near poverty incomes is small unless someone covers the operating gap. Everyone points to factory built as the cheat code. Yes, modular can shave up to 20% off hard costs and cut months off schedules. That puts a project back on the rails when interest rates are spicy and trades are scarce. But costs aren't just lumber and labor. Land values still dominate in hot markets. Partner capacity limits how many assemblies you can manage at once. And the ultimate rent level is set by the operating math, utilities, maintenance, financing, and reserves. If the operating budget needs $1,700 a month to stay solvent, the unit won't rent for $900 just because it arrived on a truck. Here's where equity hits the wall. Without operating subsidies pegged to 30% of tenant income, 25% in Quebec, low-income renters can't touch these units even when they exist. The door is technically open, but the key is missing. So units fill, sure, but they fill with people slightly higher on the income ladder, pushing the renters with the least room further out. Preservation also has to sit beside production. The Canada Rental Protection Fund put $625 million toward letting community housing partners acquire rentals at risk of redevelopment. It doesn't add supply, but it can freeze rent hikes on existing tenants and offer lower rents when units turn over. That's a pressure valve. Pull it out, and the heat goes straight into the eviction pipeline.